Now we're gonna do some quick examples where we have to find the limits for the following sequences. Okay, this first one is n plus 1 over n minus 1. So here we are willing to find the limit as n goes to infinity. So the limit of un as n goes to infinity. So the limit of n plus 1 over n minus 1. So basically here, okay, so we can see that the ratio is very close. So on top we have n plus 1, on the bottom n minus 1. So as n gets bigger, these two numbers will become the same, almost the same numbers. So it's like dividing 1 by 1, or maybe 2 by 2. So when you have a big number and you add 1 to it, a big number, when you subtract 1 from it, it's like you're doing nothing when n is too big. Okay, so in this case the limit is 1. Okay, this is an intuitive idea. Okay, we can use some rules that we have seen, like for the famous limits. We can do the same here. We can just write factor by n. So we have n 1 plus 1 over n, and on the bottom we have n 1 minus 1 over n. We cancel by n and we have this one here. So on the top, as n gets bigger, this one, okay, let's do it here, 1 over 1 plus n, 1 minus 1 over n. This one here, as n gets bigger, will go to 0. This one, as n gets bigger, will go to 0. So we have 1 over 1, which is 1. Okay. For this one here, okay, what's the limit? Okay, so the sign of n is always between 1 and minus 1. Okay, so the sign is always between 1 and minus 1. So think of this one as adding 1 or plus 1 to n and dividing by n. If n gets bigger, if we subtract 1 from a big number and divide that number by n, it's like we did nothing. It's the same number. So we can get a feeling of the limit here. What's the limit? So it's like n minus 1 or n plus 1 over n, which is 1. So the limit here, as n goes to infinity, is 1. We can prove it by dividing. So we have 1 plus sine n over n. Okay. So here we have 1. And this one here, we have shown it in the previous video. We said the limit is 0. So I have 0 plus 1, which is 1. Okay. The other one is this one here. Okay. So here we can think of this sequence as having two sequences. This one and this one. This one goes to infinity, and this one goes to plus infinity, since this number gets bigger and bigger as we keep increasing n. So we have plus infinity, which is plus infinity. So we say in this case the limit of un is plus infinity. Okay, so these are very quick ways, okay, using some logic and some algebra to do these limits quickly. They are not very difficult to evaluate. We'll deal with more difficult one, but the most important thing is read the numbers. Like this one here, look, n plus 1 is almost n minus 1. When n is big, it's like adding 1 to that number, it's not changing the number. Okay, and n minus 1. So when n is big, so subtracting 1 from that number, it's like doing nothing to that number. So it's like we have n over n. So here it's like we have n over n, which is 1. Okay. Besides that, we need more rules and more criterions to be able to find the limits of sequences. I will be adding more videos and more sequences in the next few days.